What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Outdoor Gear. My name's Aaron Bottoms, and today we're going to be reviewing something that I think is essential not just to anybody in the outdoor world, but anybody in general, in a household, anybody that has shoes. And what I'm talking about is boot and shoe dryers. These things come in many different shapes and sizes and lengths of shoe sizes, boot sizes, etc. So we've got one that goes in your standard shoe. We've got one that you can slide a shoe on, or you can put, your running shoes on. Maybe not so much your muck boots and things like that. And then we've got the all-around one where you can put a tennis shoe, you can put a muck boot, you can put a hiking boot, anything like that. I think these are great to have in general in a household, just because if you got kids, get their shoes wet. A little shoe dryer. If you go on lots of hikes, or you're a runner and you have sweaty feet, dry your shoes. They're ready to go the next morning. They're ready to go that evening. You step in a puddle and you need those shoes later that day. Boot, shoe dryer. Perfect to have on hand anytime. Question is, how do they hold up to the elements? Whether we put them outside in the rain, or we put a fully wet boot on and we dump the water on top of it, will it short circuit? Let's find out. Alright, so the first one I want to get into here is the shoe dryer. This looks pretty simple. I mean, it looks just for a shoe. It's made by Kooder. So let's open it up and see what we're working with here. Cool. So yeah, this is, you could put these in a hiking boot. You can put them in your regular tennis shoes. Oh, and they extend too, so you can get a little more length out of them and things like that. But they simply look just like an air mover. They'll probably pull air in, or push just a fan essentially that pushes air out. Let's see, there's a little instruction card here. Some trash. Hand's stuck in it. Yeah, so it just looks like it pushes air, maintains about 65 to 80 degrees Celsius, about 149 to 176 degrees Fahrenheit. So pretty much putting out hot air into your shoe to dry it off. Looks like a pretty simple design. Looks like a lot of the electronics are inside of here, of course, so we'll see how that holds up to really wet shoes. But these wouldn't be great for muck boots, because usually if you're gonna dry your shoes or your muck boots for a certain reason, it's probably because you stepped in a hole over top of your boot, your work boots, anything like that. And they may dry the main part of your heel and your toes and things like that, but your ankles might be a little wet still. So we'll see how that turns out. Alright, next we got the medium length, which I think this is a pretty nice looking design. Alright, now that we got that opened, pull our little shoe dryer out. Comes with instructions, which you don't need. Open this little package up. Nice. It's called the DryGuy Force Dry Shoe and Glove Dryer. So with this guy here, you could probably put your gloves over top of it and they would dry just the same, whether you're going hiking, camping, anything like that. Got some angles on it, so you can put it out, or you can put your shoe right on top of it and slide your shoe in like so. Goes up to, looks like 180 degrees. You can turn it up. And, oh wait, 180 minutes. Alright, so this is you can have a little timer here, so if you want to set them on there for 180 minutes, half an hour, hour and a half, whatever you want to do, you could do it that way. Again, this is actually kind of nice. I like this design here for just your standard household shoe dryer. And it looks like it's a little tougher. I mean, it's got this plastic up here, you can kind of squish it, so that'll probably break when we play with it a little bit. Well, we shall see. But yeah, cool. Doesn't seem too bad. Alright, get these out of here. Move these boxes there. Alright, the third one is the one I have the most familiarity with. It's just an air mover. It pulls in from the bottom, raises it to the top, and come out the boot. I had one for years, and they simply work just based off what they are, and they tend to be decently durable. But the nice thing about it is you can put any shoe on it. If you just want to stick them on top like that on your hiking boot, great. If you want to put these extenders on there, now your muck boot's going on. If you're wearing boots higher than this, God bless you. You're probably wearing some sort of stiletto boot and you look ridiculous out in the field. But, or your hip boots. I should take that back. Your hip boots. If you're going to wear hip boots and your hip boots get wet, you can roll them down a little bit, slide them on over top. You've got the most bang for your buck. And it looks pretty simple to put on as long as I do it correctly. Like so. Right? Yeah. So, there you go. You've got your tall, lengthy. You've got your medium. And then you got your little guys. So, if your tennis shoes get wet, this is the way to go. I would say great for hiking boots, great for tennis shoe, hiking boot, gloves, whatever. Gloves as well. Maybe not so much on the gloves on these guys, but to each your own. Let's get into some tests. Alright, so I got them all plugged in and just wanted to see what was going on. Obviously, this one is forced air to a degree. It's more recirculating air. This one here is actually pushing air out the top, which I really like. And it's warm, hot air coming out. It's not like blowing really hard or anything like that, but it's not meant to. It's meant to just circulate air through, warm air in, the hot air pushes it out, or the old air comes out to dry it off. These just simply seem to be warmers. They seem just to be hot. I don't know how that's going to yield or how that's going to help. You can also see like there's some, it's hard to see on this actually from the camera you're at, but there's some like the holes here, all these little holes. There's a few of them that are melted closed. They're not even open. So that seems like a pretty poor design. But these just seem to get hot. So that's something to be weary of. I'm not too big on something just heating up. I'd rather have air that's pushing out and is not 150 to 180 degrees like this says it gets to, because that could be very dangerous if left unattended, and we don't need that. Again, these move air very slowly. They push some warm air up, the old air and moisture comes out. These are the same way. I wish these were taller though, because then you put your muck boots on. But we'll put a pair of hiking boots on here, we'll put a pair of tennis shoes on here, and we'll put a pair of muck boots on here and see how they do. Hopefully not start a fire with these guys. Alright, to prove that these are actually nice and wet, let's go ahead and fill them with water so that it's tested that these are soaking wet like I stepped in water this morning. Hiking boots. And the running shoes. All right. Everything is significantly wet now. All right, slide these puppies in. Let me extend it a little bit. Seem nice and warm. Let me flip them there so you see left and right. All right, hiking boot. And we'll turn those on for an hour or not an hour, 180 minutes. And then the old muck boots, which, as you can see, are dripping. Alright, so we'll let all these go for the next while and see what happens. Alright, so it's been, what? It was 4 o'clock when we were there before. It is now 9:30, so it's been 5.5 hours. And obviously this ran for 180 minutes, which is 3 hours. So these ran for designated time. These are still going, and these are still very wet. So they're damp. I mean, they're not soaked, but they're wet. The hiking boots are dry. So after 3 hours on this dryer, the hiking boots are nice and dry and ready to go. Let's see, what about our muck boots? They very damp. So we'll leave these on overnight, but these guys did good. I mean, they were soaking wet. The table is wet. The towel here, wet. So yeah, we'll let these go. And actually what we're gonna do is we'll leave that going there. Take these guys off. And maybe put one of these here. If it'll stay. Prop it up like that. Put this guy, I guess you could do it like, there we go, like that. And we'll, hopefully this stays up. And we'll run it. Let's run it for an hour and a half and see how that does. Maybe that'll dry it out, maybe it won't. Either way, I'm going to bed here shortly, and we'll let this run. I'll let this one run, I'll let this one run all night and see what these compare in the morning. Alright, so it's the next morning. I am about to head to work, but I wanted to check these real quick and see how they did. So we'll start with the shoe itself. It is finally dry with these little Kooder things, and they are warm to hold, kind of hot to hold. I wouldn't hold it for too long, but you know, they worked, you know. But it was 14 hours. We started at 4 yesterday. It is almost 7 now, so about 14 hours. We put this one on for an additional hour and a half last night, just on this. So this ran for 14, this ran for 6 hours, I guess, technically. Same with this one, but this is taller. This is still a little damp, which would kind of be to expected, but it's not soaking wet, or as wet as it was when I put it on last night. So this could, I mean, maybe we'll get these wet again and put them on 3 hours on this, but again, these aren't made for longer boots. I mean, there's probably a way, if you did it like that you could slide them on and they would push air in, or like that to kind of prop them up. But let's see what this one is. This one did the whole 14 hours, and they are dry and ready to go. So if you've got the time, these work pretty well. If you put them on, you hunt it that morning, or even you hunt it most of the day and then your boots got wet and you need them for the next morning, you can slap them on this guy. This takes longer. These I wouldn't bother with, just my opinion, but we'll do some more tests on them. This one I like a lot. It, like I said, dried those hiking boots pretty quickly. So we'll do some more tests on this and see if we get these other boots, muck boots, wet, if we can put them on here and see how long they take to dry. We'll do that this evening. So, all right. So since we like to torch these a little bit and see what they're actually made of, and as I'm doing this water stripping out from, I guess, when we did the boot test, and you can tell it's a different day, different clothes, all that stuff. So let's just see what happens when they take a fall from a little height and see what kind of damage they take. That's fun. So obviously this was the one I was kind of worried about here, because it's a little bit more flimsy, but it's got some give because it's thinner plastic. Little flip. She's still pretty good. This piece fell off on the bottom here. But that's just that cover to keep the wire straight, so no big deal. Our little nunchucks here seem to have had up some hits all right, but what if we do that? Scraped up, but fine. Then the one I like the most, it seems the most sturdy, it's got some separation cracks in here where the seams have come apart, but if you end up dropping it from a short height, or if your kid gets a hold of it and drops it, it should be fine. No problem there. All right, as you can tell, we're back at the pond here, and things are falling off of this guy which I find to be annoying because I don't want my pieces going everywhere and have to search for them or super glue them on there. So keep that in mind. Still a good product, I've used them before, but stuff falls off. But we're going to give it a little dunk. Maybe you left it in the rain, maybe you left it in the back of the truck or the bed of the truck and it got wet. Obviously, we're not going to use these for a little while. We're going to let them dry out and such like that. But let's just give them a dunk and see after they dry out if they still work. All right. We'll let these dry out and we'll see you later. While these dry out, I want to see about how these cords hold up. The last one I had, after many years, it kind of started pulling out, so see if we'll help them dry off and just do a little whirlwind here. Get it going. Watch out, little nunchucks. Don't try this at home. And last but not least, the big guy. Let's see how those hold up. Alright, so after all of our tests, you can see some damage to the product itself. Lots of scratches. I don't know if you can hear it. Get it closer to the mic there. Some screws seem to be loose on the inside. As you see, missing that screw there. Things are definitely rattling around on the inside of these things. So we'll plug all these back in here in a minute, but I want to show you the damage to each of them. Lots of scratches, lots of nicks, no more water in there. Our middle of the road, not too tall, not too short one here, took some damage itself. Lots of scuff marks. You can see the seam is broken along here and separated. Other than that, everything seems to be pretty well intact. Bottom's not too messed up. There's no rattle to it. None of that jazz. I'll show you the other one standing up here in a second. Back at the table here. Obviously, different day, different clothes. It's hot in Virginia as well, so we've been doing this multiple different days here. But this is the last one we haven't seen the damage on, and honestly, there's really not much to show. This bottom piece here came off, but that's it. So that was actually kind of surprising. We threw it, we strung it around, we nunchucks these guys, and they all had some cosmetic damage, but really we're here to see how they held up internally. So let's start with this guy here, get them switched on, and see what we're working with. Actually, this one's going to take a minute to warm up, so we'll see. Let's start with this one. This one's the obvious one, and we'll work our way over. This one's the most I'm most worried about because a lot of internal parts, components like that. So it's an air mover. I feel it trying to. And there it goes. Okay. A little bang. And she's back in business. Awesome. I never showed this part where it actually extends because obviously I didn't notice it until I started throwing it around and it kind of extended itself. So this is my favorite one on the table simply because it's an air mover. These push air lightly. This one pushes air lightly. This one just heats up. But these actually force air into the boot to make it circulate out. Also, I think it generally will work with any boot. You've got your hiking boot. You put a tennis shoe on there. You can even do your muck boot rolled up. Or, if you really had to, your whole boot's wet. Lay that down some, and you can lay it just like that and keep it propped up. It's going to push air in, move the old air out. So that one, I think, is the best bet. Cool. I'm glad that works. I'm actually surprised that works, but awesome. Turn that off so we don't have to listen to it. These guys, they're getting warm. There's something's loose in there. I don't really know what, but they're warm. They're doing their job, technically, so cool. And then these guys, if I can feel down here, they're also getting warm down here, which means that they're going to push the hot air up. It's really a, whatever it's called, driven. I mean, your hot air rises into the boot, pushing the cooler air out. So that's how this works. It's not an air mover. It's just how air works. Hot air up, cold air push down. You know what I mean. So price-wise, they're not too far off from each other. These are 18 bucks. And for 18 bucks, you're getting 18 bucks worth of boot drying, shoe drying. When we put these in the tennis shoes, they really didn't dry them, so I wouldn't buy these. It's not worth my money. If you're going out hiking somewhere and you're in the snow and the cold and your boots get cold, maybe put these in there and they'll warm it up, but this is going to warm your boots up as well as this one here. So if you're looking for an all-around boot dryer, warmer, if your kid steps in a puddle and you need the shoes to be dry in the morning, these aren't the guys. So I don't really recommend these. This guy here is a tried and true. You know, you can put any shoe on it. You can even take these down and put it directly closer to the air. But tennis shoe, hiking boot, muck boot, for instance, full muck boot goes on there and you're ready to go. It just takes longer to do its job. Where this one might do it in 3 hours, this one probably does it in 12 or more. So keep that in mind, but this is 50 bucks. And with that being said, the next one up here, who, even after being tortured, works after a little bit of banging. This is 60 bucks, and you're getting the best bang for your buck, in my opinion. Obviously, you're not going to dunk it in a pond, but if you do, I don't think that's why we have to bang on it. I think we have to bang on it because I threw it against the ground and swung it around like a, you know, whip, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, best bang for your buck is going to be this guy right here, 60 bucks versus 50 bucks versus 20 bucks. Spend a little bit more money to get something that's going to work, and it's pretty compact compared to this guy here, who these don't break down. This is the breakdown. Take those guys off, take this guy off, and there's all your pieces. Still not as compact. You've got more length there. So keep that in mind. Whatever you might like, if you want something that seems to hold up really well for what it is, the Peet dryer. Get the boxes here. You got the Peet dryer, you got the Dry Force, or the DryGuy Force Dry, meaning forced air in, or the Peet Dry, which is just a tried and true, it'll do your job, or the Kooder foot warmers, I could call them. I don't really know what they're called, but top, middle, bottom, I'm not going to ever buy these. May keep them in the house to warm my wife's shoes up in the winter. That's about it. If they even make it that long, because they might explode, who knows. But thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully this was informative. Hopefully this made you make a better decision or lead you to where you might want to go if you want a force dry, if you want just your regular Peet dryer or whatever they may other be called. There's lots of different ones that'll do this. These are the ones we have. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you'd like us to review, like, comment, subscribe, all of that business. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.